Maya Rodriguez stood at the observation deck of Nexus 7, her dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of distant stars. The massive space station hung like a crystalline spider web in the void, its translucent corridors filled with beings from across the galaxy. After 6 months of rigorous training on Earth, she was finally here, the first civilian xenobiologist accepted into the interstellar exchange program. The gentle hum of the station's atmospheric processors couldn't mask the clicking, whistling, and burbling of alien languages around her. A group of Virillians, tall, crystalline beings who communicated through light patterns, drifted past, their bodies creating rainbow refractions on the deck's polished surface. Maya fought the urge to take out her datapad and record every detail. "Researcher Rodriguez?" The voice came from behind, accompanied by a soft phosphorescent glow. Maya turned to face Director Xylix, a meridian whose bioluminescent patterns shifted with their emotions. "Your laboratory assignment is ready." Maya followed the floating, jellyfish-like being through the station's winding corridors. Other humans had visited Nexus 7 before, but they'd all been military or diplomatic personnel. She was the first scientist, the first one here purely to learn and understand. The laboratory was everything she'd dreamed of and more. Holographic interfaces floated in the air, displaying genetic sequences from 1,000 worlds. Specimen containers lined the walls, each maintaining the perfect environment for its occupant. "This is incredible," Maya breathed. "We hope you'll find it adequate." Xylix's patterns shifted to what Maya recognized as amusement. "Though I must warn you, some of our researchers are skeptical about human involvement in our programs." As if on cue, a Kethrian researcher named Vextor entered the lab. The insectoid being's compound eyes fixed on Maya, mandibles clicking in what she'd learned was disapproval. "I fail to understand why we're wasting resources on a species barely out of their gravity well," they chittered. Maya had expected this. Humanity was the newest species to join the galactic community, and their rapid advancement had made many nervous. But she hadn't come this far to be intimidated. "Perhaps," she replied, carefully modulating her voice to match Kethrian formal tones, "that's precisely why my perspective might be valuable. Fresh eyes often see what others have overlooked." Vextor's antennae twitched in surprise at her proper use of their social protocols. Director Xylix's patterns shifted to something Maya hadn't seen before, interest, perhaps. Over the next few weeks, Maya threw herself into her work. She learned to read Virillian light patterns, to interpret the complex pheromone languages of the mycelians, to understand the subsonic rumbles of the massive Chronos beings. Each new piece of knowledge seemed to unlock another door of understanding. What fascinated her most was how different species perceived the same phenomena. A genetic sequence that appeared ordinary to Kethrian eyes held hidden patterns visible to human perception. Chemical reactions that seemed chaotic to meridian sensors followed rhythms that human brains could naturally detect. One day, while studying a particularly puzzling specimen, a silicon-based life form that seemed to exist in four-dimensional space, Maya noticed something none of her colleagues had. "The temporal fluctuations," she muttered, "they're not random. They're following Earth's Fibonacci sequence." Her discovery sent ripples through the station's scientific community. How had a human seen what centuries of advanced alien research had missed? More importantly, why did these ancient alien life forms follow patterns so easily recognized by human minds? Director Xylix's patterns swirled with excitement as they reviewed her findings. "Perhaps," they pulsed thoughtfully, "we were too quick to dismiss human potential. Your species sees the universe differently." Even Vextor had to admit the value of her contribution. "Your pattern recognition capabilities are unusual," they clicked, mandibles moving in what Maya now recognized as reluctant respect. Perhaps there is something to be learned from human perspectives after all. As Maya prepared her report that evening, she couldn't help but smile. This was just the beginning. Humanity had so much to learn from their galactic neighbors, but perhaps, just perhaps, they had something unique to offer in return. What she didn't know was that her simple discovery would soon ripple out across the station, stirring up ancient questions and hidden fears. The next few months would test not just her abilities, but humanity's place among the stars. The ancient data core pulsed with a soft blue light as Maya ran her fingers across its crystalline surface. 3 weeks had passed since her discovery of the Fibonacci patterns, and she'd been granted access to Nexus 7's historical archives, a privilege rarely extended to newcomer species. The interface may be challenging for your neural architecture, archive keeper Thex warned. The archivist's quantum-shifted form flickered like heat waves rising from hot pavement. These records predate most current civilizations. Maya connected her neural adapter, a delicate piece of technology that allowed human minds to interface with alien data systems. The familiar tingle of data streaming directly into her consciousness began, but something was different this time. The ancient symbols seemed to resonate with something deep in her mind, as if they were calling to a part of her DNA she didn't know existed. "This is strange," she muttered, eyes closed in concentration. "The data, it's not alien at all. It's like it was meant for human minds to read." Thex's form solidified momentarily, a sign of intense interest among their species. "Impossible. These archives are millions of years old. Your species had barely mastered fire then." But Maya wasn't listening. She'd found something, a hidden protocol buried beneath layers of encryption. As she decoded it, her hands began to shake. "Director Xylix needs to see this immediately." Hours later, Maya stood before a hastily assembled council of Nexus 7's leading researchers. Her discovery had caused such a stir that even the reclusive Quantum Collective had sent a representative, a shimmering cloud of possibilities that hurt her eyes to look at directly. "The protocol speaks of a species called the Pattern Seekers," Maya explained, projecting the translated data for all to see. "They were meant to emerge millions of years after the archive's creation, evolved specifically to perceive patterns that other species couldn't. A species that could bridge the gap between different forms of consciousness. A species that could unite the galaxy's disparate minds." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of clicks, whistles, light patterns, and quantum fluctuations. Vextor's mandibles clattered rapidly. "You cannot be suggesting that humans are these pattern seekers." "The timeline matches," Director Xylix's patterns swirled thoughtfully. "And it would explain certain anomalies we've observed in human cognitive processes." Maya brought up her latest research data. "Look at these neural scans. Human brains don't just recognize patterns, they actively seek them out. We find faces in clouds, constellations in random stars, meaning in chaos. What if that wasn't an evolutionary accident? What if we were designed to see what others couldn't?" The Quantum Collective's representative shifted through 1,000 possibilities before speaking in a voice that existed in multiple dimensions at once. "There is a 73.2% probability that this explains the unusual quantum resonance we've detected in human consciousness. You see reality differently." But not everyone was excited by the revelation. Maya noticed several council members exchanging worried glances. If humans were indeed engineered by an ancient civilization to serve as universal translators and pattern seekers, what did that mean for the balance of power in the galaxy? Vextor voiced what others were thinking. "If this is true, it represents a significant security concern. How do we know the pattern seekers didn't install other hidden protocols in human genetics? Ones less benevolent than pattern recognition?" Maya felt the mood in the chamber shift. What had started as scientific curiosity was rapidly becoming political. She needed to act fast before fear overwhelmed reason. "Whatever we were meant to be," she said firmly, "we are what we've made of ourselves. Humans have no hidden agenda. We're explorers, scientists, seekers of knowledge, just like everyone else here. This protocol doesn't change who we are, it just helps explain why we might be valuable allies." Director Xylix's patterns shifted to a calming blue. "Well said, Researcher Rodriguez. However, I believe it would be wise to keep this discovery contained for now. Until we understand its full implications. As the council dispersed, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to become much more complicated. She'd wanted to prove humanity's worth to the galactic community, but she might have just painted a target on their backs. Back in her quarters that night, she received an encrypted message from an anonymous source: "Not all patterns are meant to be found. Some secrets should stay buried. For your species' sake, stop digging." Maya stared at the message for a long time, her reflection in the viewport overlapping with the distant stars. She'd started something now, something that couldn't be stopped. The only question was whether humanity would emerge stronger from what was coming, or be torn apart by forces they'd never meant to awaken. Technological breakthrough. The research station orbiting Europa hummed with an electric intensity unlike anything Jake Rodriguez had experienced before. Holographic displays flickered with complex algorithms and unprecedented data streams, representing humanity's most ambitious technological project to date. The Adaptive Quantum Resonance Initiative, or AQR, was more than just a scientific endeavor, it was humanity's last, best hope to prove their worth in the galactic arena. Dr. Marcus Verlaine, the project's lead scientist, adjusted his quantum interface glasses and turned to Jake. His weathered face bore the marks of countless late nights and impossible challenges. "We're close," he muttered, more to himself than to Jake. "Closer than anyone believes possible." Jake understood the weight of those words. The Alien Confederation had issued their ultimate challenge 3 months ago: prove humanity's technological capabilities or face permanent marginalization in the galactic community. Most species would have crumbled under such pressure. Humans, however, did something entirely unexpected: they innovated. The core of their breakthrough lay in an entirely new approach to quantum communication. Where alien technologies relied on fixed quantum entanglement networks, the human team discovered a method of dynamic, adaptive quantum resonance. It was like comparing a rigid telephone line to a living, breathing neural network that could reconfigure itself instantaneously. "System calibration at 87%, announced Aria, the station's artificial intelligence. Her voice was deliberately modulated to sound both professional and slightly encouraging, a design choice made by her human programmers to inspire confidence. Jake watched the holographic displays, his fingers hovering over the control interface. His background as a cargo ship technician gave him a unique perspective. Where traditional scientists saw complex mathematical models, he saw interconnected systems, each with potential points of flexibility and adaptation. Aria, run a parallel simulation with the Andromedan quantum encryption model, Jake suggested, his intuition pushing him to explore an unconventional approach. Dr. Verlaine raised an eyebrow. "That's not in our current research parameters." "Sometimes," Jake responded with a slight smile, "the best discoveries happen when we step outside our parameters." The station's massive quantum processors hummed to life, generating millions of potential interaction scenarios between human adaptive quantum technology and the established alien communication frameworks. What emerged was nothing short of revolutionary. The Alien Confederation's communication networks relied on a highly structured, hierarchical system of quantum entanglement. Each transmission was like a carefully choreographed dance, with strict rules and predetermined paths. The human approach, by contrast, was messy, organic, and fundamentally adaptable. Suddenly, the holographic displays erupted with a cascade of new data. Aria's voice cut through the sudden excitement: breakthrough detected. Quantum resonance efficiency increased by 273% beyond projected maximum capabilities. Dr. Verlaine stared in disbelief. Jake, however, was already analyzing the implications. This wasn't just a technological advancement, it was a fundamental reimagining of interstellar communication. The implications were staggering. Instantaneous communication across unprecedented distances, the ability to transmit complex data through quantum channels that could dynamically reconfigure themselves, and a level of network resilience that made previous technologies look primitive. "They won't believe this," Dr. Verlaine whispered, his hands trembling slightly as he reviewed the data. Jake understood the subtext. This wasn't just a scientific achievement, it was humanity's declaration to the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. The Alien Confederation had presented their challenge hoping to expose humanity's limitations. Instead, they had inadvertently unleashed human creativity, a force far more dangerous and unpredictable than any technological weapon. As news of the breakthrough began to spread through secured channels, Jake couldn't help but reflect on the journey. From a cargo ship technician to a key player in humanity's most significant technological leap, his path had been anything but conventional. Arya's voice interrupted his thoughts. Incoming transmission from Galactic Council. Priority status. The moment of truth had arrived. Humanity was about to show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of. The turning point. The Galactic Council chamber fell into an unnatural silence as the human delegation entered. Holographic representations of dozens of alien species flickered around the circular platform, their collective gaze fixed on Jake Rodriguez and Dr. Marcus Verlaine. This was no ordinary diplomatic meeting, it was a moment that would define humanity's future among the stars. Ambassador Zara Kolinth, a crystalline being from the Nexus Concordat, spoke first. Her translucent form shifted with barely contained agitation. The quantum communication breakthrough you present challenges everything we know about interstellar information exchange. Jake stepped forward, his cargo ship technician's practicality shining through the diplomatic setting. Challenges are opportunities, he responded, a phrase that seemed to capture the essence of human adaptability. The previous technological breakthrough had set the stage, but now humanity faced its true test. The Alien Confederation had long maintained a delicate balance of power, with communication and technological networks that prevented any single species from gaining too much advantage. Humanity's adaptive quantum resonance technology threatened to shatter that carefully constructed equilibrium. Dr. Verlaine activated a holographic display, showing the intricate web of quantum communication pathways. Our technology doesn't seek to replace existing systems, he explained. It offers a new layer of connectivity that can enhance and protect existing networks. But everyone in the chamber knew the truth. This was about more than technology, it was about survival. Tensions had been building for decades. Humanity had been viewed as a young, potentially dangerous species, too unpredictable, too willing to challenge established norms. The cargo ships that once transported simple goods now carried something far more valuable, hope and potential. A representative from the Kriax Collective, a silicon-based life form, challenged the presentation. Your technology could destabilize centuries of carefully maintained communication protocols. Jake's response was measured but firm. Or it could make those protocols more resilient than ever before. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of translated languages, holographic displays flickering with diplomatic tensions. Some alien species saw opportunity, others saw threat. Humanity had always been an outlier, a species that refused to be categorized, that found solutions where others saw only obstacles. Arya, the AI that had been instrumental in the quantum breakthrough, began running real-time simulations. Projected scenarios showed how the new communication technology could prevent potential conflicts, route around communication failures, and create unprecedented levels of interstellar cooperation. But diplomacy was only one battlefield. The true test was yet to come. A priority alert interrupted the proceedings. Distant sensor networks detected an unprecedented threat, a massive extragalactic anomaly approaching the known territories. Previous communication systems would have taken weeks to coordinate a response. With the new human-developed quantum resonance technology, information could be shared instantaneously. We can help, Jake stated simply. It wasn't a boast, but a statement of fact. The next 72 hours would prove to be the most critical in human, and galactic, history. The extragalactic anomaly approached, a massive energy signature that defied current scientific understanding. Traditional defensive strategies would be useless. Dr. Verlaine began coordinating a response using the new quantum communication network. Species that had been rivals for centuries suddenly found themselves sharing data, developing coordinated strategies with a speed and efficiency never before possible. Jake found himself at the center of a rapidly evolving situation. His background as a cargo ship technician had prepared him for impossible challenges, adapting systems, finding solutions where none seemed to exist. Arya's voice cut through the chaos. Anomaly approaching. Current defensive strategies show 98.3% probability of failure using traditional methods. The alien confederation looked to the human delegation. This was the moment of truth. Would humanity be the solution or the problem? Jake looked at the holographic displays, his mind racing. The quantum communication technology was more than just a method of sharing information. It was a way of thinking, flexible, adaptive, willing to challenge existing paradigms. We need a distributed defense network, he announced. Not a single unified approach, but a dynamic, constantly evolving system that can adapt in real time. The proposal was radical. It went against every established defensive strategy in galactic history. But as the anomaly drew closer, traditional methods seemed increasingly futile. Dr. Verlaine began inputting complex algorithms, with Arya supporting the computational load. The quantum resonance network came alive, transforming from a communication tool to a living, breathing defensive system. Species that had been enemies moments before now found themselves working in unprecedented harmony. The human approach, messy, intuitive, constantly adapting, was proving to be their greatest strength. As the extragalactic anomaly entered sensor range, the true test began. Would humanity's innovative approach save the galaxy, or would it prove to be their most spectacular failure? The chamber held its collective breath, waiting. A new cosmic order. The moment of truth arrived with a blinding burst of quantum energy that illuminated the entire galactic sector. What had seemed like an insurmountable threat moments before began to transform under the adaptive defense network humanity had conceived. Jake Rodriguez stood at the center of the command hub, his hands moving across holographic interfaces with a dancer's grace. The extragalactic anomaly, a massive energy construct that defied previous scientific understanding, was being systematically dismantled, not through brute force, but through an intricate dance of quantum communication and adaptive strategy. Dr. Marcus Verlaine watched in awe as the impossible unfolded. The alien confederation representatives, who had moments ago been skeptical of humanity's capabilities, now watched in stunned silence. Arya, the AI that had been instrumental in their breakthrough, provided real-time analysis. Anomaly disruption at 67% and increasing. Quantum resonance network maintaining 99.8% stability. The defense was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of a rigid, predictable response, the network behaved like a living organism, constantly shifting, adapting, finding weaknesses and exploiting them with an almost organic intelligence. Ambassador Zara Kolinth, the crystalline representative who had been most skeptical, approached Jake. Her translucent form shimmered with what could only be described as respect. "You have changed everything," she stated, not as a challenge, but as a profound observation. As the anomaly continued to dissolve, the true nature of humanity's contribution became clear. It wasn't just about technological innovation, it was about a fundamentally different approach to problem solving. Where other species saw limitations, humans saw possibilities. The quantum resonance network became more than a defensive tool. It transformed into a blueprint for a new type of galactic cooperation. Species that had been isolated for centuries found themselves interconnected in ways they never imagined possible. "This is more than a technological breakthrough," Dr. Verlaine explained to the assembled representatives. "This is a new way of thinking about cooperation, communication, and survival." Jake's journey from a simple cargo ship technician to a galactic strategist was complete. He had proven that human potential was limited only by imagination and determination. In the weeks that followed, the galactic landscape transformed. The quantum resonance network became a standard communication and defense protocol. Humanity was no longer seen as a young, unpredictable species, but as a critical innovator in galactic civilization. Aria's final report captured the essence of their achievement. Humanity's primary strength is not in technological superiority, but in its ability to reimagine existing systems, to see potential where others see barriers. As the command hub began to wind down, Jake looked out at the vast expanse of space. The anomaly was gone, but something profound had been born. A new understanding of what was possible when diverse species worked together, when creativity was valued over rigid thinking. Ambassador Colinth approached Jake one final time. "You have given the galaxy a gift," she said. "Not just a technology, but a new perspective." Jake smiled, thinking back to his days on cargo ships, solving impossible problems with nothing more than ingenuity and determination. "We're just getting started," he responded. The story of humanity's rise was far from over. It was, in fact, just beginning. As stars twinkled in the background, a new chapter in galactic history was written, not with weapons or force, but with imagination, adaptability, and an unyielding belief in the potential of cooperation. Epilogue. The quantum resonance network continued to evolve. Humanity had proven that their greatest strength was not in conquering the universe, but in connecting it. From a species once viewed as marginal, they had become essential, a bridge between what was and what could be. And somewhere out there, among the infinite possibilities of the cosmos, new challenges awaited.